Hey, what's going on, everybody? You just heard me and my good buddy Tulio Mosquito playing on Glorious Step, which comes from the album Bill Evans Live at the Village Vanguard. So this is one of my all-time favorite albums, and I really love it because of the way that Bill Evans plays on it. It's super melodic, and it's really unique, and it's that thing we all know as Bill Evans. So this is a great kind of introduction into my lesson. So another thing about this lesson is it's going to be divided into two parts. The first part is going to be on Bill Evans and his use of chords, how he builds chords, and his chord melody. And the second part is going to be on Bill Evans and his single note lines. So I'm going to use snippets from the playing I did with Tulio on Glorious Step, and I'm also going to have those PDFs that we all love. So without further ado, here is my lesson. Alright, so to kick us off into this, I'm going to talk about the Miles Davis album, Kind of Blue. So this album is super iconic, and it's one of the best-selling jazz albums of all time, and it also features Bill Evans playing. And this is the great kind of like segue into Bill Evans and his chords. So with this album, there's one song I'm going to pick out from the entire album, and that is So What. So what's really great about this is this chord in the very beginning when they kick off the tune. So this chord is called the So What chord. So the So What chord may seem like a regular chordal voicing, but it actually has a little bit more going on. And what that is it has a triad on top, and then it has a chordal voicing on the bottom. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, because you have chordal on the bottom right here, then you have the triad. So going from this is actually a really cool chord to use with guitar. And because number one, it's really easy to play, it's only 2 fingers. And number two, it's a really great break from just doing like traditional like E minor 7. Or just like those minor 7 voicings. So, you may be asking yourself, this is really cool, how can I put it into my own playing? Well, I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so taking this concept of triad on top and then chordal on the bottom, we can use this and practice with all of our modes and different key signatures and all that good stuff. And we go from the lowest part of the guitar all the way to the highest part. So I'm going to do D Dorian, because that's what So What is in. And I'm going to just start at the lowest part of the guitar, and I'm going to use strings 5 through 1. So here we go. Alright, so a couple things to kind of like take note of are you can kind of like pick and choose some of these chords. This one's not really my favorite. It's kind of awkward. But the rest of them are pretty awesome, and I use quite frequently. But again, this is a great way to kind of get these chords under your belt. So moving on from this, let's talk about Bill Evans and his chord melody on So What. So I'm going to talk about the single note part of this solo in the next video, but for now I'm going to talk about the first 8.5 bars, because he actually does something on the beginning of the 9th bar. Alright, so here is his chord melody on this. Alright, so this is it. And a couple things to kind of point out, starting to analyze this, is number one, Bill Evans loves to do really stagnant voicings on the lower part of his chords and his comping, which basically means that he'll just play the same thing. We can see that right here. He'll do that when there's a sense of development in his single note lines, and he'll also do it like we see here in his chord melody. The second thing is that Bill Evans loves to do chord clusters, especially the minor second. We're going to see a lot of this. And the final thing, which I'm going to talk about within this solo before I move on to the next one, is that Bill Evans is a very, very melodic and deliberate player. You could really hear where his melody is going, and he's a master at doing this. You can hear this throughout his playing. And something that he does, especially within this So What chord melody, is that he hits this D5 really hard. And then he does his single note lines. And right here, he was basically just telling the rhythm section, all right, I'm going to go into my single note lines. And yeah, that wraps it up for this. Now we're going to go into the next one. So now we're going a little bit forward in time, and we're going to talk about my favorite album, Bill Evans' Live at the Village Vanguard, which is featuring Scott LaFaro on bass, Paul Motion on drums, and of course, Bill Evans. So the tune I'm going to talk about is the Miles Davis standard Solar, and this tune really stuck out to me because it has a couple things which we see again in the Bill Evans chord melody, but also a couple different things. So check this out. Alright, so here it is, and a couple things that kind of stuck out to me were that, number one, when he was doing this, he was basically just playing through the head the second time through. But when he did this, this is an example of something that a lot of piano players do, and it's a really kind of useful thing to do in your chord melody because it keeps your chord melody grounded, and that is where you repeat the melody and the bass note. So this is an example of something that's called a shearing voicing. And it's basically what I just said. You repeat the melody note and the bass. But Bill Evans did his own thing, and he did those intervallic voicings. So this also sounds very, very chromatic. And he goes back into the key center when he does this minor second voicing that he loves to do. Then from here, he does another thing that he really loves to do, which is having a parallel melody to whatever it is that he's doing. So basically playing two different melodies. He links this up though because harmonically this is something that's called a backdoor cadence. And what that is instead of doing a 2-5-1, which is in this song it's going to be going to F, he does a backdoor cadence, which is going from the minor 4 to the flat 7, which is the dominant 7, to the F major. Then from here, he repeats his idea of doing the shearing voicing, and he goes and plays the same thing. And just like in Solar, it does that encircling of the major third, which is... And then from there, he does the independent melody again. Only this time, he goes and it actually goes into the melody. So they kind of connect right here. Into that, this chord. Oh, my bad. This. Going into this, it goes into E flat major. And he has that repeating bass note again. And then he does this. And then he goes into D flat major 7. So again, this is another thing that Bill Evans does, and it shows how he is a master of taking away from the melody and keeping the essential elements. So case in point, he doesn't do the 2-5 going to D flat major 7, which is the next chord in the tune. He goes from E flat major to E flat minor, and he's using the melody to kind of keep him rooted from doing the like from there to go into the D flat major. So basically what I'm saying is there's no 5 going to the D flat major. Okay, the final thing is that to the turnaround, going to the top of the tune, back to C minor, he substitutes this 2, and he does this chord. And this chord is an A flat diminished with the major 7. And that major 7 goes down to the major 6 and A flat, which is F. And then from there, he goes to the 5. So that about wraps it up for this. Tell me some of your favorite Bill Evans moments in the comments. And I'll see y'all later in the second part of this lesson where we're going to talk about his single note lines. So later.